Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on cybersecurity and how it relates to you, hosted by Scott Sutcliffe of the Scott IT Group. Allison James Estates and Homes is a nationwide brokerage which offers 100% commission, 100% support, and 0 franchise fees. Why split our commission if you don't need to? You earned it all. You should keep it all. Our goal at Allison James is to always give back to our agents by providing education, training sessions, live webinars, live events, and full broker support with the most up-to-date tools and technology available. Also, we have some exciting news to share with you today. Allison James Estates and Homes is pleased to announce that we're now offering a live coaching program nationwide. Our national executive coach, Deanna Ferrone, is an active top producer with 18 years of experience. If you would like more information about Allison James Estates and Homes or our coaching program, please contact us at joinus@ajicorporate.com. With that being said, I would like to now pass it over to Scott Sutcliffe, my friend. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Tracy.
Okay. All right, Scott, we are ready for you.
All right. Can everybody see a nice big cybersecurity for realtors screen with some cool graphics on it? I'm going to make that as a yes. All right. We are going to cover today cybersecurity and what is the 3 main targets. I mean, I get these questions a lot from people. The 3 main targets we're going to cover today for you guys is why is the real estate industry a target? Why are you specifically a target? And why consumer level protection products are failing. So take some notes. We'll have a little fun with this. And we'll have some time for questions at the end. So feel free to jot some things down along the way if you like. I bring this slide up for the reason that I have been to many, many, many seminars over the years, and the vast majority of them I tune out based upon how credible I believe the speaker is, to be quite honest with you. So I'll bring this up right up front and get this gorilla out of the room. I have 18 years myself in the real estate industry, including escrow, mortgage, title. I've closed over 100 transactions, the majority of them in California. And while I was actively selling in California, I was also a technology trainer for over 100 agents in a local brokerage. I also have an IT degree, and I have certifications in security and hardware and also networking. I say that again because I want you to understand that I know the industry that you're dealing with. I know the troubles you're dealing with technology in this industry. And I also come from a background where I have some degree of expertise on getting these solutions out to you. So with that said, let's get a little background then on the cyber threat. This is from 2012, and this is what the FBI was willing to admit at that time, that there are 2 types of companies, those that have been hacked and those that will be. And even that is merging into one category, those that will be, or those that have and will be hacked again. By 2014, they were getting a little more clarity on what was going on. The Chinese are heavily involved. The internet's the most dangerous parking lot imaginable. You guys can read this yourself. But I love the part there in red. Folks are wandering around that proverbial parking lot of the internet all day long without giving it a thought as to whose attachments they're opening and what sites they're visiting and what makes it easy for the bad guys. You've got nation states, I'll cover more of this later, that are trying to break into systems, terrorists, organized cyber syndicates. It's getting very, very sophisticated. But this last section is pretty cool. Bonnie and Clyde could not do 1,000 robberies in the same day in all 50 states from their pajamas from halfway around the world. That literally is how this can work now. So, Tracy, I'm going to ask you if you could throw that first poll question up for us.
I would love to do that for you. Okay, I'm going to read it for you all. The FBI has had to assign a new category of crime just to track cyber crimes in the financial services sector. Is that true or false?
Yeah, Tracy, I'm not
Oh,
seeing the poll question that's up. There we go.
do you
Okay.
see it now? There. Sorry about that. I thought I hit the
It went
button.
away. It
All
went
right.
away.
It went away.
Yep. I will come back. We have a couple other poll questions, but I'll go through these as that looks like that's what everybody is seeing. The answer to the first question is true. The FBI did assign, this is in a release they sent me in May. And the second question, was there a 2,370% increase in exposed dollar losses in a single year? That is also true.
What about
The
that? Can you
BE,
see it now? I'm sorry for interrupting. Can you see it now?
no, I think they said that was only going to pop up one time and one time only for
Got
each
it. Okay.
one. So,
Okay. Thank you, Scott.
no worries. The BEC EAC acronym there, the FBI is good at one thing in the world, and that is acronyms. BEC refers to business email compromise, and EAC is email account compromise. There it is, Tracy.
I think I'm
Just
learning,
popped up.
Scott. Thank you. Thank you for being my guinea pig. I've said it 1,000 times.
Okay. You take it down. We got the true on that one. We'll move on to the next one.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And close that. All right, here we go, Scott. I'm launching it.
Alrighty.
All right, how
We're
much
back.
sales volume does an average conventional business?
Tracy, too soon.
Darn it.
Can you take that down?
Yes.
I'll call for it.
Sorry. All right. I don't know if we're going to be able to go backwards, though, so I apologize.
No, we won't. That's all right. Okay, cyber fraud. Everybody is at risk. It is growing exponentially. The reason is the endless profit potential, easy targets, and a nearly zero level of risk. Let me explain that real quick. Recently, I had the opportunity to sit on a panel with the special agent in charge, San Diego FBI, for cybersecurity. And in that panel, he mentioned, well, the question came up of how much prosecution are they actually getting on cyber fraud? And his response was rather interesting. He said if the wire, the money, does not leave the US, they are seeing a very high percentage, up in the 80s and 90s%, of ability to catch and capture these criminals. If it leaves the country, that number falls to a statistical 0. And the bad news here is it takes less than 3 minutes for that wire to leave the United States. In the vast majority of the time, that is what is happening. So automation and the internet allow the attackers to carry out tens of thousands of attacks at the same time. You literally can download programs off the internet that will launch an attack with a single click. And the last question is, how does this actually work? The most common one we're dealing with is the email hack, where what happens is the bad guys will get into a transaction email stream via one of the players. It could be the realtor, it could be the client, it could be the transaction processor, it could be one of the affiliates, your pest report person, whatever, and they wait for the wire instructions to go out, and then they jump and they duplicate those wire instructions. So that is the type of cyber fraud that we are discussing today, just to make sure you're on the same page I am here. So the escrow companies saw a 480% increase in cyber attacks in 2016, which is kind of interesting because they are actually the most protected area of this part of the business. But this is something else to consider. E&O insurance providers are putting riders on their policies exempting coverage for cyber fraud. This is happening all over the place, and it was happening literally within hours of the first attacks being publicized. And then, of course, with the 24-hour news cycle, the reputation hit to a business or bank or an individual can be devastating. Because these do go offshore, the international crime means the FBI is automatically involved. And as you can probably gather, FBI visits are never good for your business. This is actually a mortgage broker in Cleveland back in 2014 that was involved in a massive transfer. So, why are actual realtors a target? The real estate industry is part of the financial services sector. If you understand what I'm talking about by sector, there are 16 critical infrastructure sectors the FBI monitors for cybercrime. And the financial services sector is in the top 3 for those risks. The cyber criminals are smart. They go after the easiest target, not the hardest. And this quote at the end, at the bottom here, is the NAR counsel, Jessica Edgerton, in June of 2016. And she explains that they are now going after the individuals. This is recognized at the NAR level as well. And they are watching the information go back and forth through that method I mentioned. They get into the email stream, they spoof someone's email, and they sit and watch. Why are you a target? Part 3 here. This is good. The rubber hits the road. The most common distinguishing characteristic of a realtor that would make you individually a target for cyber criminals, ta-da, you work with high dollar volume transactions. And I don't mean to be glib when I say that, but we're not talking where the bad guys have an opportunity to snag $30 or $40 or $100 or $1,000. Don't think about commissions. Think about the actual dollar sales amounts you guys are dealing with. Is a fancy target. It's a big target. And cyber criminals are all about the easy money. So let's look at some numbers so you understand what I'm talking about here. This is California 2016. I'll show you here briefly. This is, whoops, get my little red marker going here. Back up. That's a highlighter actually. All right, Scott, never mind. 2016, that was the average sale price. Median price over here, the number of sales. Sorry about that. So we'll do some math. If there were 416,000 units sold, the 193,000 agents in California, I pulled that slide out just to keep this brief. That's 2.15 units average. You can see the math here. Is your business volume above the average? And I can hear some of you screaming out there right now, Scotty, I don't do business in California. What's up here? All right, Realtor.com, nationwide, 2016, the average listing price was $412,000, right about there. And if that still looks too high for the market you're in, let's go down here. Median listing is $250,000. What all of that means is if you are doing 3 to 4 units a year, you're hovering in that $1 million mark of total dollar business, total dollars in sales volume generated. How much sales volume does an average conventional business do? And I don't know, Tracy, if that poll will come back up or not. If not, don't, because we'll use the next one later.
Yeah, no, it's showing closed. I'm sorry.
That's all right. 5 to 10 million, 10 to 20 million, or as our friend Dr. Evil says, $1 million. The answer to that is it depends, type of business. But a little perspective here, because I hate to leave you hanging. This slide is the number of average sales per unit in thousands of dollars for fast food franchises. This was 2015. And you can see by this slide that the bottom of the top 25 is $1.2 million in average sales. So the average realtor, if we go to the next slide here, here's why you're a problem, or why you're a target and you have a problem is what I should say. A, you're part of the real estate market, financial services sector, top 3 cyber threat risks, and you generate more sales volume than a top 25 fast food franchise in annual dollar sales. Couple that with, you're not talking Big Macs and fries and Happy Meals. You're doing average of 422 to 502, make that 250,000 if you want to. You're talking some significant dollar attractions here for the bad guys. On top of that, you advertise your upcoming payday for the entire world to see on the MLS with signage, advertising. You can read this as well as I can. And everybody involved in this transaction is a potential target. The other problem is all of these people involved in these transactions are typically using consumer level protection or worse, free protection off the internet. Are you starting to see why you guys are a target? I sure hope you are. You're a target because criminals go after the easy, not the biggest or best. The majority of realtors are using free protection, and anybody in the chain of this transaction is potentially a target, and literally 1 degree of separation from a payday. I don't know if y'all remember the 6 degrees of separation. There was you. Oops. Take that back. We'll work on that later. The 6 degrees of separation was the old 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. You knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. There was actually a strange little show out briefly that they did that actual thing in a reality show, and they proved it worked. It was short-lived, but it was fun. The reason this is such an attraction for the cyber criminals is you, your client, your affiliates are all literally a single degree of separation from that escrow account. And that is why you are such a huge target. Yeah, but Scott, I'm fill in the blank and I'm immune somehow. I get this more often than you can possibly imagine. And I'm just going to be blunt with you. You think your business is off the radar and you're not at risk, but you're wrong, and you couldn't be more wrong. And the cyber thieves do thank you for your continued cultivation of that belief. If this ended right now, your takeaway, I hope anyway, would be the realization that you have a higher degree of risk involved here than you probably thought you did. All right, computer protection. We'll narrow this down and push this to the end here. Common misconception, my computer or smartphone is not at risk. I just use it to surf the internet and check the email and stuff, Pinterest, look up some recipes. What risk could I have? Besides that, I downloaded this cool free software off the internet, so it's all good. Yeah, you never heard that before. Everything that is connected to the internet is at risk of being hacked and exploited. That is everything. Anything that is connected to the web can be hacked and or exploited. And that last is my caveat here. Free software means it comes bundled with its own malware. That's why it's free. They're tracking you with the ads and that type of thing to sell your information out there to anybody that wants to buy the list. So free software literally means it's come bundled with its own malware. You have risk at home, you have risk at the coffee shop, you have risk at work. Computers, smartphones, smart automobiles, smart appliances, nanny cams, homes, routers, DVRs, smart thermostats. All of these have one thing in common, and that is that they have all been hacked. And I'm talking just in recent years, they have all been hacked. And so literally, if it's connected to the internet, it is at risk. Computer protection basics. What is a virus? Might as well malware. This is where things start getting a little confusing to people. The two common terms are virus and malware. The most prolific, if you will, is malware right now. It used to be viruses, but there are two separate threats, and that's the reason there's two definitions involved here. You need protection from viruses on your machine, and you need protection from malware on your machine and your devices, your mobile devices. Let's try that poll next here if we can, Tracy. I don't know if the one will show up about the malware infections. Yes, thank you very much. Go ahead and take your lucky guess at the answer here. How often are 390,000 new malware instances identified on the World Wide Web? Anybody want to hazard a guess?
Huh. I think I'm immune, personally. All right, look at, they're coming in. We have 71% say daily, Scott.
Wow, okay. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Okay,
we have 21.
Go ahead and take that one down.
Okay.
Go ahead and take that one down.
Got it.
And I will move on here. I said I will move on here. There we go. That's the poll. And the answer is, the third one is the answer, actually. In 2016, there were 390,000 new malware instances identified daily. The overall database is over 600 million instances of malware currently loose on the World Wide Web. And in 2015, it was only 300,000. So they are estimating the gain is going to be somewhere in the mid 400,000 to 500,000 instances daily in 2017, because this is doing nothing but escalating. And that snapshot there that you're looking at the bottom, that was actually came from the same slide I started out with the malware flying all over the web. 741,000 attacks worldwide in under 18 hours, and the US is consistently the most attacked country in the world. Not a good scenario.
No.
Consumer versus business protection. Over-the-counter consumer antivirus and anti-malware products are just not up to the task. They're designed to protect consumers browsing the web, looking at Pinterest, not protecting a high business sector like you guys are in, high-risk business sector. They update once per day, which means they're behind by 390,000 infections every day. Yours doesn't update for 2 or 3 days, just do the math. The other problem is the program scanning engine, quarantine file, definition database are all maintained on your hard drive, taking up resources. And then there's that good old, I have free protection off the internet. Yep, that's called malware, guys. Small business solutions, unfortunately, there are 0 designed for small business. All they do is they bundle and sell the packages of the consumer products in multi-packs. And that's how the industry has handled the small business solution. So what to do about it? Here we go. Well, first of all, business protection versus consumer. The Fortune 500 protect themselves differently than consumers do. They have what is usually a hybrid program. It's made up of multiple engines of protection from multiple vendors bundled into one. They also update in real time, and they are self-healing, and they have built-in remediation. So there is a massive difference between that and the Symantec or the McAfee or AVG that you download off the internet and what the businesses are doing. So how do you protect you and your business? Use what the Fortune 500 uses, the latest state-of-the-art cloud-based protection. This is something that it's not new actually, but the industry is starting to catch on. There is literally one product on the market today that's keeping up with the scope of the threat because it is cloud-based. I actually make the Fortune 500 enterprise version of that same program available to small businesses. We can discuss that later on in Q&A or in an email. But here's the difference. Let me see if I can get my pen working again. Nope, it's not going to work today. Conventional protection, as I mentioned, is going to load a program on your computer. It then maintains a database of 600 million definitions. It sets up a quarantine file, so all the bad stuff doesn't go away. It actually sits on your computer. It just gets quarantined. And you have a little program that's a traffic cop that takes a look at that 390,000 list daily and verifies whether the information is good or bad before it allows it access to your computer. Cloud-based protection works completely differently, and it does so by generating a shield over your computer in a little tiny program that's a scanning engine. And what happens is everything that comes to your computer has to pass through the shield first. And all of the bad stuff gets stopped in its tracks. And only the good stuff is allowed to your computer, the stuff that passes muster. To use the other example here, now that my silly pen is working, we had that, oh, that wasn't good. There we go. We have the program on your computer. We have the database on your computer. We have the quarantine file on your computer, all of these getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you got the little program that's the traffic cop, and all of the bad stuff comes down to your machine. It's allowed onto your machine instead of being stopped. So you can see this difference is huge in how things work. And the industry is starting to recognize this. There's actually 3 companies out there right now with this cloud-based protection in beta. And Symantec and McAfee are 2 of those companies that are doing that right now. So the future is looking better, but right now there is literally a single web-based protection available out there for the consumer. The other issue that is a problem with malware is patching, and this is a controversial one from the IT side of things. You get 5 IT guys together, all 5 are going to have different opinions as to what to do. From the consumer level, patches, those little annoying pop-ups that keep popping up there that most people tend to ignore, and they leave them alone, which leaves you vulnerable. Patches are designed to patch known holes in the operating system and in your programs you use, such as the Adobes and things like that of the world. So it is critically important to patch. The reason for that is the ransomware, especially that was big in the news recently and still is, there's more of these variants coming out. The flaw that the ransomware exploits was actually patched months before the exploit was launched. But because people were not patching and businesses were not patching, the flaw was able to be utilized. Microsoft, I believe it was in March, released the patch for the hole in their operating system that was exploited in May, June, and July. So patching is critically important. The reason that companies like FedEx, the entire hospital network in England got caught up in this, it varies. From the IT side of things, patching can break other programs, so you have to be careful what you're patching. But the bottom line is 99% of malware infections worldwide had a patch available that would have prevented it from infecting your machine. So ideally, you want to make sure that patching is happening. My service includes critical and security related patches, automatic with no user intervention. So that is one way to stay on top of this. All right, today's key takeaways, we'll be wrapping this up here shortly. Key to understanding the threat to you and your business. If you're connected to the internet in any way, it's vulnerable. Absolutely no exceptions. The key to protecting yourself is patching. And then get the best protection product you can get your hands on. Consumer products just can't keep up with the threat you guys see in the real estate industry. They will fail, no exceptions. Where can I get the type of protection you have been talking about? I throw this up here just to show you the proof of the cloud-based protection I'm talking about. I've had 0 machines ransomed, 0 hijacked transactions, and 2.5 million computer hours with 0 hours of downtime due to infection or compromise. Those are computer hours of uptime with 0 hours of downtime. You can get more information from me at scott@scottitgroup.com. And before we go to questions, if you found any of this information useful, ask for more from the people that invited you here. We haven't even talked about email providers and spam, securing your email, securing mobile devices, encrypted email, CFPB liability. I have information I can share geared at the real estate industry for all of those. So yeah, I enjoyed talking with you. I hope you got something out of this, and I'll pass the microphone here back to Tracy.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was very informative, as always. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today, and a huge thank you again, like I said, to Scott for hosting this month's webinar and for giving a great presentation. Have a great day, everyone, and we hope to see you next time.